Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ballroom B. You are here for a very exciting session, how to organize a great virtual event. Just a little housekeeping, awe.live, if you haven't downloaded it yet, it is a great way to keep track of everything that is happening today. All day long, we're here talking about e-commerce and advertising, and it is provided by our great sponsor, Avatar. And without further introduction, I want to bring up a gentleman who has been involved in AR and VR for a long time, lots of great experiences, a true entrepreneur. He co-founded New Technology Walkers, which is a fitness, HitMotion is their company, and also now VRrOOm, where he is the CTO, and you're going to learn all about creating virtual events in VR. So let's have a big hand for Antony Vitillo. Woo! Come on, big hand. Woo!
So, hello everyone, I'm Antony Vitillo, and I would like to just spend 24 minutes hearing you cheering, but unluckily for you, I have to speak about how to organize a great virtual event. So, a few words about who I am. So, I spent the last 8 years in AR and VR, which are some crazy things at a startup starting in 2014 called Emotional. And I arrived until now doing things like entertainment, B2B experiences, a fitness game called HitMotion Reloaded, and now since 2019 I work with virtual events together with a French company called VRrOOm. Since 2016 I also like to spam the web with my thoughts about virtual and augmented reality on my blog called The Ghost Owls. So this is the game built and was the topic of my last year at AWE. It was about fitness in VR. But this year, I want to talk about my work at VRrOOm, that is this French company specialized in virtual events. And we made quite a few things, like a concert at the end of 2020 with this French artist called Jean-Michel Jarre. This year, we created this musical experience so you can enjoy this post-industrial city while listening to the music, always the same artist. We did some festivals, Venice VR, Southwest, and other things. So let's not go see the full video of that. So I want to start to say why virtual events, because sometimes people ask me, okay, now the pandemic is going away, why should we still care about online events and virtual events, etc. Well, I'm a big fan of virtual events. So the first thing is because they can make them possible to happen. So when we did the concert in 2020, it was during the pandemic. Notre Dame, luckily, was burned down. But we did in virtual reality an electronic music concert with lots of people inside in this virtual Notre Dame, with 3D objects going all around you, crazy animations, video mapping, impossible thing that in real life could never happen. And there are other companies working on this kind of crazy things happening in the web, concerts on Mars or impossible places. So this is why I think it has the potential of doing something more than you do in real life, that anyway is already pretty cool. And then you can have people joining from all over the world, so they don't have to fly to go to the concert location. The difference also with the digital events, the video events, is that you can stay there with them, we speak with them, screen with them, so you can create little groups of people doing things together, something that like on Zoom is not possible. Another thing that I also want to say is that it's I want to highlight the possibilities for hybrid events. So I don't always think about virtual versus real events. Imagine like they're doing like a Coachella. This year was this Coachella-verse. I hate all this metaverse stuff, but the idea was pretty cool. So let's take the stage at Coachella and augment it with cool stuff happening around. So I see the potential of this thing for the next years to come. So these are some of the work that I did in these years, but let me go pretty fast with that. And this was the trailer of the concert I was saying in Notre Dame. So it was the main event for the city of Paris for the New Year's Eve of 2020. So no pressure on us, because in the end it was just one of the events. Then the COVID made all the other events to be canceled, and so we had a big responsibility, but as you can see, it was pretty cool. This kind of Notre Dame with all these effects happening around, and Jean-Michel Jarre performing live his electronic music. So this is what I see as the cool things of virtual events. So some hints on how to organize them. So organizing virtual events is a bit a mix between organizing a real event and creating something like a gaming project. So you have some features things that you have to do that come from the real event sector, like you have to organize the outreach, the marketing, the ticketing, have all the ticketing system in place, find the artist, find the place where to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And you have other things that come from the gaming sector. So one of them is, for instance, you have to find the right platform where to perform your event. So either you're building yours, or you use one of the existing ones. There are VRChat, there is Roblox, there is Fortnite, there are Allspace VR, there are many of them. So the main question is, how do you choose one? Because choosing the platform is one of the most important things you have to do when organizing your event. It depends on what you want to do, and there are some kind of criteria I like to highlight, like, for instance, the graphical style. I'm a fan of Allspace VR, for instance, but some corporate people, when doing corporate events, don't like this cartoonish style. The number of users. If you want to do an event with 40 people in the same room, VRChat is okay. If you want 200, you have to go for VRBela. The customization possibilities. Do you want interactions or not? VRChat, you can add them. Allspace, a bit less. And go on. One thing that's also important for me is the hardware, because some people, when they want to do an event, usually in the enterprise sector, they ask maybe about Mac support, but not all the platforms support Mac. Then there is mobile platform to consider, blah, blah, blah. And then many other features to consider when you have to do this choice. Now, recently, I noticed that it's also quite common for people who want to work with us, try to propose them a platform, especially for the hype that there is now for the M world. So some people that are addicted, interested in the NFT stuff usually ask about the central end or the sandbox, while people want to target the Gen Z are more into Roblox. So sometimes you can't choose. You just adapt to what people are asking you to do. Here I'm just putting some example of some platform. As I said, we use a lot VRChat because it's very customizable. But for enterprise event, I'm a big fan of Engage, because for doing presentations like this one in VR, it has amazing tools for presentation and moderation of an audience. Mozilla Hubs runs all on the web, no friction for who wants to join, it's open source. Allspace is amazing if you want to create your community with recurring events like stand-up comedy or these kind of things. I'm a fan of VRBela if you want to have lots of people for your conference, up to 1,000. And Neos is still a very promising platform, made a very small group of people, very open. Now it's a bit in a trouble situation. I hope things are going well for them. Apart from the software, it's also the hardware platform to consider, as I said, and one of the themes is PC versus Quest. PC gives you better graphical quality. If you want to do a concert, you want to surprise people with graphical effects, explosions, always more explosions, while on Quest it's more difficult, it's more cartoonish, etc. So this is something you have to consider also for your event, because Quest has much more users than PC VR. But at the same time, the quality of the result is a bit less. So compromises to do as always. My suggestion is whatever you do, whatever platform you choose, always try to stream something on YouTube, Twitch, or whatever platform you prefer. And the reason is that you never know what your users can be, what your viewers can be. Maybe they don't have a VR headset. Maybe they have, but they are traveling. They're in mobility. So maybe they just don't want to put a headset on their hand. So you provide the streaming of what you're doing, and it's easier for everyone to join. It just democratizes the event more. The experience is not the same. It's always less immersive, it's less cool, but it's anyway better than nothing. So my suggestion is to consider YouTube streaming, and also to have a director working on it, because it can't be just a static camera streaming it. Then something that is some kind of standard advice. Whatever you want to do, especially if you want to do some kind of software, it's important to have the right team working on your project. So you need different kind of figures that work both in the software field or 3D field, like 3D artists, software developers like me, but also people that come from traditional background of events may be of a great help for you. Why I say this? Because they have a lot of expertise in doing this kind of event. So maybe you are preparing a concert. When we did the Notre Dame concerts, the guy caring about the lighting came from the traditional background of events. So he knew a lot about the color transitioning, when is the right moment to show an animation for lights, this kind of stuff. He was not used to Unity, that is our traditional working software, but we onboarded him, teaching him how to use our pipeline of development. And this is what you should do when you onboard this kind of people, because they have amazing expertise in their field, but they don't have expertise in using the VR and Unity and Unreal, this kind of tools. So you onboard them, and then the team can work together with everyone taking its expertise on the table. Another thing you have to consider before is also the kind of audience will be in the platform. Like VRChat is famous to have a community that can be also full of trolls in some times. Most people are cool, but there's also some trolls. And others are more, techie. So maybe you're doing an event that is private, so you don't have to care about moderating because you just invited people and you know you can trust them. In any case, consider to find a platform that has some moderation tools, because otherwise it can be a problem. I know, for instance, Engage, if you are an owner of the Engage instance for your professional event, you can kick people out, you can force people to sit down, so you can really manage the audience. And that's the reason why, for instance, HTC has used Engage for all the last events of launching some kind of hardware. Mind the trolls, there will always be, and you can't avoid that. And also, if you want an event that is a bit public, so it's not private, and especially it's not targeting just a VR community like us, teach the visitors how to use the platform. So take their emails, send them constant reminders on how to download the program, how to use it, how to interact with the environment. Because we noticed that when you are in the VR communities, you just say, hey, join VRChat and do whatever you want. When, for instance, other people want to join, like the Oxymore experience we just did, there were some hardcore fans of Jean-Michel Jarre that bought an Oculus Quest headset just to join that experience because they are super fan of him. But there are people that are totally not in the tech community. So we had to send them instructions on what to do step by step. Some people tried to join VRChat on the website. So they went on the website of VRChat and thought that the experience was there. And instead, you have to download the application. So it was a bit weird to try to support all of this, but this is a necessary if you want to be very inclusive with everyone to join your event. So again, standard advice on how to design stuff. First of all, do some kind of design, because otherwise it's going to be a huge mess. If you just start doing stuff and without backward planning since the beginning, it's going to be a big problem. So I know this because it has happened to us for our first concert with Jean-Michel Jarre called Alone Together. We did all the concert basically in 3 weeks. We didn't know even who was the artist before, 2 weeks before, and we did all the job organization, the development, the design in 3 weeks without a project manager, without even a proper design stage. We just started doing stuff. And it was a disaster in something, a great in others. So the concept per se was good, but there were lots of problems also happening. And in this picture, you can see behind the robot, the light that you see should be the artist performing on his instruments. It seems like a fire or someone burning, but actually, in our original plan was a hologram. But we hadn't time to test, we hadn't time to design well, and so there were this kind of bugs happening. That's why we learned from this terrible experience, and we did better the next times. So start with having some clear specification of what we want to do, what should happen in the experience, what interactions you want to add, the sounds, all the time around the events, and everything that should happen inside. The more you plan before, the better it is, because you can predict all the problems, you can make all the team to coordinate, et cetera, et cetera. These are standard advice for whatever projects, but I prefer to highlight them because they're quite interesting. Also, the graphical style. Define it beforehand, speaking with the artist, because everyone has its own style. And this is very important, especially when you perform with top-notch artists like Jean-Michel Jarre. He was very selective on how his avatar should be, because he has a real identity with which he presents to his fans, and he wanted to have the proper digital identity for his virtual fans. So having designing exactly the style of the experience of the avatars is very important when you perform with this kind of top-notch artists. It's important, in my opinion, a lot to sketch in 2D before. So you start with something that can showcase the artist what you want to build. And then when you agree on something, you actually build it. This was for Venice VR. This is instead for a concert we did recently. This is the room, the lobby for a concert we did for like electronic music festival in Paris, for like 12 hours of electronic music, techno music. I don't know how someone can survive listening for 12 hours of techno music, but it's okay. I was just there the first hours to be sure that everything worked and then just ran away. But anyway, the thing was pretty cool because the concert was happening in real life in a stadium and in virtual life in VRChat, with the music streamed live from the real venue to the virtual one. That's why I say that hybrid events are the future. You don't have to choose one or the other. The mixing stuff is always the most inclusive thing. And this was the original sketch by our 2D artist about the lobby. So we started discussing with the artist about, okay, do we imagine the lobby this way with some stools, with a bar, etc., some displays. They asked for some modifications, and then when we agreed on everything, we could do this fantastic futuristic environment, also a bit dark and creepy, but that was their style that they asked for. So you can see how you can go from 2D, 3D, because if you start with 3D and they ask for the modifications, it's a total mess. You require much more time to modify them. This is a video I like to share every time I talk about whatever you do in VR. This is actually for our game Hit Motion. This is a boxing game. So you have to punch targets to make points and to win. And this was one of our targets. This was in attack mode, but before was in standard mode. And it's cool that the 3D artists made this and sent us the video. And we said, wow, it's pretty cool. So we love to have this target in our game. So we're pretty excited. I immediately put this in Unity and decided to test it. The problem is that how you can see that this is made of steel and glass. And it's also a cube, so it's full of edges. So when I saw that in front of my face in VR, I was like, I don't want to punch something made by steel and glass and full of edges. I'm going to hurt myself. And that's why it was super cool in a game. It could be super cool in a game that is not immersive. But in VR is not going to work. So test a lot in VR what you're doing. Assume that what you're going to build is going to something that may work in real life, because otherwise it can be scary for the user or uncomfortable or whatever. Mind a lot about the sound, because it's something that is easy to forget for people to care about the graphics a lot and don't care about the sound design, but it's super important to have a sound designer that think about the sound on board. And then it's super important to have a developer like me that can create these kind of weird blocks for the architecture of the software for all the interactions. One thing that I want to highlight, since we are in the design stage, is that we noticed that people that work with us like especially two things in the events we organize. One is the graphic appearance. Everything should be cool to be seen. This is not something you can avoid considering when you're creating something for artists or for festivals. So everything is very, very, very visual. Can have different styles, even if it is Minecraft style. It should still be very cool. And then it's very important to have some interaction. So having an event in VR where you're just there and you go around, you see someone singing, is super boring. So you have to interact with other people, of course, but also have interactions in the environment is very cool. We had some mini games, we had some Easter eggs. You press something and there are, fireworks. I had a conference in Engage, it was very serious, and I put a T-Rex on the stage. You have to make people have a bit of fun. Everyone loves to have fun. And even in VRChat, something I love is that people can change avatar and choose whatever they want and play with their avatars between them. So even the most serious of the events wants to have fun. So this is a lesson I learned during these years. Then, of course, you have to have a roadmap, a deadline, people that respect the deadline, the team that communicate on Slack, on Teams, whatever. So communication is super important. Whenever there is a problem, tell the people in the team and try to solve it as soon as you can. And then, since I did a project without a project manager, I know it is a mess. Hire a project manager. I know it can be expensive, but at least you have a watchdog that cares that you have respecting the deadlines, so people are keeping update their task list, help with the team building, etc., etc. And also try not to kill each other while you develop the project, because I guarantee you that the days before every delivery is a total mess with everyone getting super angry. So avoid what happens in the left, the lower bottom of the slide, and try to work with people you trust and learn to, not be too stressed and to work well together even the last days. Another thing that I always say is that remember we're in the early days of VR, so it's impossible to have whatever you want. It's impossible to have perfect graphics and 4,000 people in the same room and lots of interactions and work on all platforms. It's not the right moment. So compromise whatever you can. Try to do something that is pleasant to be used and make people having fun, but don't try to shoot for the moon because it's not the right moment to do that. And be clear and communicate that with the customer. And then test everything that you can, because I guarantee you are sure that something is going to work, and it's not going to work. So spare some days before the actual delivery to test everything. During the famous concert where without the project manager, actually I published the word 1 minute before the actual beginning time, and that's why there were some things that were not working. So especially multiplayer things, interaction multiplayer are going to create a lot of mess. So I can guarantee you. So before I leave, I just want to say that you have to do all the work beforehand, because when the event is live. So you can do nothing. You can just see your failure happening in front of your eyes if something is going wrong. There's no way of turning back. The only thing you can do is having a channel open on Zoom, on Discord, or whatever you want with the rest of your team, and start screaming for whatever doesn't work and try to cover all the problems that are happening somehow and this kind of stuff. So communicate a lot with a separate channel people can't listen to, and try to do the best you can if you can mask some problems. Final advice is doing events in VR is amazing. It's so immersive. As I told you, it's not the same as seeing that on a computer screen. But my suggestion, if you want to enjoy an event, do it in VR, put a headset on and have fun. But if you are one of the organizers, do it on 2D on a standard screen, if you can. Because this way you can multitask other applications, you can communicate and solve problems. If you're in VR, you're just in VR. It's more complex to handle everything if you are in VR. So I try always to stay on a standard PC. It's more boring, I know, but it works better when something is not working. After the event, just speak with your team, you cry together about things that are not going well, and you discuss how to improve the next time, because hopefully there will be a next time. And my experience is that you always do errors, but improving, trying to solve them, you improve over the time. So I can say that in the last 2.5 years that I'm in VRrOOm, we really improved a lot our skills in organizing events. So communicate a lot and solve the problems. There is 1 minute left, so I just made this last slide in case someone wants to work in the field. I highlight that, of course, you have to have the required skills. So if you want to do sound designer, you have to know how to use the tools. For sound design, you want to be a developer, you want to have to know Unreal or Unity, depending on the platform. You have to use version control, blah, blah, blah. These are for a developer, you have to use Git, C#, Unity, etc. But I find also very important the soft skills, especially the one of solving problems fast and able to deliver in time. Because as I've said, we are in a new field. So it's normal that something is not working. It's normal that there are problems. It's normal that you have delays in the development. So the ability to solve problems and to find a way to deliver something in the right deadline is super important. And also the other thing of not killing with each other in the team are always relevant. So now that I said a lot of this stuff, it's your turn to create your amazing events and steal my job and invite me so I can have fun with you. So these are my contacts for anti-workers, but I read lots of emails. You can also contact me on VRrOOm email, my blog, and thank you for your attention. And hope to see you on some of our future events. Thank you.
Let's have a hand for Anthony.